Hi, this is Matthew Norton with People Plus Purpose, and I am with Micky Chorny of Aligned Being. And we're just going to have a little conversation today about Micky's kind of career background up to where she is at the moment and how it's led into a relationship with People Plus Purpose and the coach certification training and all that. So welcome, Micky. Good to be with you.
Great to be with you again, Matthew.
Yes, it's always a pleasure. Always enjoy our conversations. So I would love to hear just kind of in a little kind of walk through a few phases here. One is maybe how did you end up getting involved in coaching? And
Mhm.
then maybe a little bit about what you love, what makes your heart sing in that coaching realm.
Mhm. Well, I have a background in acting. So I went to school for theater. I have a BFA in drama from NYU, Tisch School of the Arts, very prestigious. Woo. And for the longest time, I was going to be on Broadway. That was really the track I was on. If I had stayed the course, that probably would have eventually happened. But there was something deep down for me that was soul sucking about the whole process. It felt like I was struggling and toiling so much for these like 2 minutes in an audition room that, to be frank, was the most enjoyable part for me was the actual performance you give in an audition room.
Mhm.
And I just had this feeling like, gosh, there's got to be more. Like, I feel like I'm sitting in these waiting rooms, holding rooms for auditions, like wasting time. Like, I could be doing so many other things with, but I also had a lot of fear about allowing myself to be good at something other than performing. Like, they say if you can envision yourself doing anything other than acting, you shouldn't be doing acting, right? So I had this fear, like, what if I'm a fraud? What if and then I encountered personal development, and I attended a few courses and did some different transformational personal development experiences. And in those experiences, had some really big breakthroughs and insights around this thing around being like, I have to be good at only one thing or I can't do it, right? And it was like, okay, well, I am actually really good at other things. And so what else do I enjoy doing? And in that self-discovery process, people kept saying, like, you should be a teacher, you should be an educator. Have you considered teaching? And I'd be like, no, I don't like kids. I don't want to be a school teacher, right? But then eventually I was given the opportunity to explore coaching. And it was through these personal development programs that I was offered basically free training as a coach. And I did that for several years and really developed myself in an environment where it was really allowed for me to make a lot of mistakes. So I got very highly skilled very quickly. And then in that process, it was like, ooh, okay, I know what my career is going to be now. I'm going to be a coach. I want to do that professionally. And so it was really in like discovering my own prowess as a trainer and as a coach that I was like, oh, I could do this as a career. And oh my God, like it just filled my heart and made my heart sing because there was something about you have to be engaging, you have to connect with people in the same way that I would as a performer, but you also have to be so powerful in what you're sharing that it actually reaches through them and gets expressed in the results they produce. And that was really exciting for me. And it was like, oh, I could do all the things I'm good at when I do this, right? And it could be more rewarding and I could spend more time doing the rewarding parts. And then it was like it became sort of like a game, like, okay, like where am I going to coach? What's that going to look like? And I was encouraged to apply at a company that coaches dentists. And I was like, I don't have any dental background, like I'm a dental patient.
Right, right,
That's as far as my dental background goes.
right.
So I pushed it off for a while and said, no, no, I'm not qualified. And then eventually the friend that told me about it was like, look, they're still looking. They're willing to hire without experience.
Mhm.
What they need to see is that you have chops that you're trainable, that you can learn it. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay. And so I went through the whole process, got hired by this company, which I've talked about, Next Level Practice. And they really gave me my shot to establish myself professionally as a
Mhm.
coach.
Mhm.
Lo and behold, like 6 months into being employed there, I had started in the sales department, but 6 months in, I had transitioned into coaching and I was full-time coaching. And I was one of the most successful coaches the company has ever had.
Mhm.
Um, and all the while, I kept training myself like in parallel self-development programs.
Mhm.
So I was never without like a real structure to develop myself as a coach and as a leader at all times. And that is something that if you are looking into being a coach, you must always be developing yourself in something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you shouldn't be coaching people because
Good.
you have to understand what it's like to look at your own performance constantly and to be held accountable constantly for the results you say you're going to produce in order to do that for your clients.
Mhm.
So that was how I got to coaching, and eventually I transitioned out of Next Level Practice and started my own company. And so now I get to coach with my best friend as my business partner, and that is what we do for a living. And I think what makes our hearts sing the most is knowing the difference we make
Mhm.
as we do it. Like we get to connect with our clients on such a deep level and work with them at their core of being a human being,
Mhm.
and then we get to enjoy the satisfaction of the fulfillment that they get. And that is something you can't buy. You
Right.
can't buy that.
Yeah. Right.
you
Right.
know?
No, no, you can't. So that's
Yeah,
awesome. I mean, it's been that's been a real journey for you to get to
totally.
this point. And you
Yeah.
had, so some people that I'll speak with are new to coaching and looking into coaching as a possible career.
Yeah.
Others have had business experience in a particular industry,
Hmm.
like dental, and to say I have value, I believe I can give. I could
Hmm.
see myself coaching in some aspect of this.
Hmm.
Um, so for you, you were already had achieved success. You were already thriving as a coach. And then how did you get connected to People Plus Purpose, and what was the draw to want to explore
Yeah.
there?
So, really vulnerably, when I transitioned out of Next Level Practice, I was transitioning into a new job at another company. And in the sort of in between period that I had taken, like time off to travel, that offer that I had signed, that I had received a new computer for,
Hmm.
uh, called and said, "We're so sorry. We can no longer afford all of the people we've just hired. And so you will not be starting your job here again, or we will not be starting your job, period." And I was devastated
Hmm.
because I really, I was pretty satisfied at Next Level, and I knew that if I was going to leave, it had to be for something much bigger and much better.
Hmm.
And that was truly why I left,
Hmm.
because it was just time to grow.
Right.
And when that happened, I was devastated, and I didn't necessarily think that I was going to be a business owner. I didn't want to be. I wanted to be an employee again.
Right. Right.
Um, but what showed up was a lot of opportunity to connect with people in the field, in the dental field, and in the consulting space who just kept leading me to other people. Like I kept getting introduced, like, "Oh, I don't know if I have an opportunity for you, but so and so might." And so I was in a conversation with somebody in the industry who was like, "Listen, I don't have an opportunity for you, but you need to talk to Matthew Norton at People Plus Purpose." And I looked at the website and I saw what you were about, and I was like, that's exactly the kind of heart
Hmm.
in a company that I would want to interact with. We stand for the same things. We have a lot of shared values. And so initially it was just like, I can't see it being a bad idea to
Hmm.
connect.
Hmm.
And then as you and I spoke, it just became very clear that there was an opportunity for mentorship, for collaboration, for growth, for making a difference.
Mhm.
And, frankly, if you had offered me a full-time job, I would have accepted it. But, you offered me this other really great opportunity, which was to get certified in your assessments. And as a coach, I am always looking for ways that I can add value or add to the experience that my clients get. And this was a really unique way that I hadn't been hearing a lot, that I could offer this added value that's also science based, that's also objective and subjective at the same time, that could really give my clients like a new lens to look through. And so that excited me
Mhm.
about, and especially knowing that I was now foraying potentially on my own, it's like,
Right,
oh, this is going to make me unique. This could be something that helps me stand out
right.
when I work with my clients.
That's great. That's great. So then, because of all of that that you just said, and we did connect, and you saw value, and you decided to proceed, go through the coach certification, um, and as a result of that,
Mhm.
maybe you could share just a little bit about what value that has ultimately provided, how it's helped to guide or inform in some different way how you coach, or for those
Yeah.
that are listening, what is the potential merit for
Yeah.
them in getting involved?
So I've seen it in a couple different ways. The first is I have seen it help my clients understand themselves so much better. I had a doctor that I did this with. I did it with his whole team. But I sat with him individually and he was like, "No one has ever told me about myself so clearly." Like it
Mm.
all makes sense. And he's like, "I've done so many assessments, I've done so many of these things, but this one really is easy for me to understand and it makes complete sense." So it gave me a very simple language to speak with my clients that helps them really understand themselves and each other better and quicker. So that was one. The other is sharing the results like on a chart with the team and showing them the comparisons in their strengths. You can see how some of them like start breathing easier, like, oh, I don't have to like, that's why it doesn't work because that's not my strength,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Or, oh, we need to give this person more of this because that's actually what they gravitate towards and they're not doing it enough. I had that same doctor had a team member on his practice who is like more a leader than anybody else score wise, and he needed a team leader. He needed somebody to step up and be able to lead the charge and like direct the team to some degree. And I
Right,
was like, she's right there. She's your only person on the team that actually has that as a strength. Go to
right,
her. So it
right.
was just a really great, easy way to go, oh, there are strengths we can pull from right away.
Mhm.
And then the other way that I have found it to be very helpful is in the hiring process. Like you obviously you don't make it a contingency for hiring. It's not like a condition, but when they have a really strong candidate, I can say, "Hey, let's do the assessments. Let's see what kind of diversity they add to
Mhm.
the strengths of the office."
Mhm.
And so it gives us an idea of like, "Oh, this person's going to be really good for these kinds of initiatives on your team."
Mhm.
Or make sure that you are often giving them information in this way because that's going to set them up for success. And so it's a really great planning tool as well. So those are the main ways.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I can say that it's been a joy, continues to be a joy connecting with you, having you be in my life, in the life of People Plus Purpose, and I look forward to more of that moving forward. Because and just to go back to something you said earlier, back to the acting element, you do project well. You do come through the medium in a way that I find it makes perfect sense. The acting background and so I'm feeling that. I guess I feel that
Thank
on a
you. Thank
regular
you.
basis. Yeah,
Coaches have to be entertaining to some degree.
yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah,
you lose people's attention.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it has worked well in my favor.
Yes, yes, I think so too. Well, I so appreciate your time and coming on and having a conversation for those who are exploring, those who are considering next steps and from picturing themselves in the next phase of starting a coaching career, advancing one, or for those people who might be thinking coach certification could be the way for me. So appreciate the time and look forward to being together again soon. Thank
My
you, Micky.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks everybody for watching, and let us know if you have any comments or questions, if you want Micky's autograph, or look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you.